Good morning, Keith Tebow from FRCMedia. Thank you for joining us today. The city of Fall River, for quite a number of years now, has held a number of opportunities and events focused on our youth. And one of those is Absolutely Incredible Kids Day. And in conjunction with that, the city has named a Youth of the Year. And we're going to talk about the Youth of the Year because the 2021 version of our Youth of the Year has been announced. I'm pleased to be joined by Christian McCloskey. He is the Youth Services Director for the City of Fall River. And Ashley Pina Nunes. She is the 2021 Fall River Youth of the Year. Thank you for joining me today. How are you?
Very good. Thank you for having us.
Let me start with you, Christian. Talk a little bit about, Absolutely Incredible Kids Day and Youth of the Year. Give us a little background about how it came about and, how long it's been in existence.
So Youth of Absolutely Incredible Kid Day is a Campfire USA initiative. In Fall River, we've been celebrating it for, I think, 19 years. This is our 19th year. And it's a simple call to action for adults to write a letter to a child that's in their life, just telling them how important, how special they are. And since last year, we started incorporating it on Facebook and social media with parents in schools sharing their positive messages. And just having a letter is something that's tangible and something that the youth can go back to read over and over and over again. Wendy Garflip has told a story of a youth who's like 15 years ago received a letter when they were in middle school, and then recently shared that they still have that letter with them, and came across the adult who wrote that letter and just told them how special and how meaningful it was for them.
Yeah, and talk a little bit about the Youth of the Year award. Has that been in existence as long, or has that been still a relatively new invention, if you will?
So the Youth of the Year, Ashley, is the 14th Youth of the Year. And technically, it was for the year 2020, even though it's announced the following year. So it's really judged from January 1st through December 31st. And so 2020 was 9 months of glory for those youth who had been nominated. But it was 14 years ago that through Partners for a Healthy Community, this Youth Development Subcommittee wanted to develop a way to recognize the positive contributions that youth were making to the community. So 14 years ago, Tony Almeida from Youth Build was recognized as our first Youth of the Year. And it's developed, it's a 3-step process in which a caring adult nominates the youth. And then from there, the youth have to write an essay. The essay this year was, how did you, even though we had so many barriers and obstacles in 2020, how did you still manage to thrive and succeed? And then the final piece was an interview, which is always the best part, especially when it's in person. We had 9 of the 11 finalists do in-person interviews, and it's always a very tough for the judges to make that final decision. But it's very rewarding and rekindles the fire, knowing that the youth are doing so well now and that the future of Fall River is so bright in their hands.
And that leads me to Ashley, who is our Youth of the Year. Ashley, congratulations. And tell me a little bit, I mean, when you heard that you were the Youth of the Year, what was that like?
Oh, wow. I can tell you right now, Mr. McCloskey can account for this 100%. When I found out, I was like so shaken on the camera. It was on Zoom, of course, the new norm. I was so shaken up. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it was me. I think it was going to be me. It's like such a shock, and I'm really grateful that I was chosen.
Let me ask you, and maybe Christian can answer this. Any one of you can answer this. Ashley, do you know who nominated you, and what were some of the interview questions like when you met with the committee?
If I'm not wrong, I believe it was Mr. Costa who nominated me. He's the Dean of History at Durfee High School. And some of the questions you were asked are kind of things about how we interact with our community and how we kind of resonate with our community and kind of looking forward into the future, how we plan on impacting our community and the things we want to improve overall.
So let's talk a little bit about yourself. You're a Durfee High School senior. You're going to be graduating, I believe, in June, correct? And talk a little bit about some of the classes you've taken, and you do very well academically. We'll talk about where you're going to be going to college in a few moments, but talk a little bit about some of the classes you've taken, and what have been some of your interests in high school.
So as of right now, I'm kind of really heavy like holding up on STEM. I'm currently taking things like statistics, calculus, chemistry. I just finished a physics course down at BCC actually. So I'm kind of really heavy holding on STEM, hoping to kind of transfer that into my major as I go to college. But that's kind of the big hope right now. It's kind of focusing on STEM, as that's kind of my future career goal focused on.
So talk about what you hope to do after high school. Looks like you are going to be going to university. Talk about where you're going to be going, what you hope to study.
Yes. I will be attending Brown University located in Rhode Island, and I will hopefully be majoring in neuroscience and deaf culture with the hopes of becoming a neurodevelopmental pediatrician in the future.
And what interests you about that field?
One of the particular interests I have is working with kids who are on the autism spectrum and kids who suffer with disabilities. I focused a lot of that when I was in middle school at Henry Lord. It's one of the big things I contributed down there. So I really wanted to expand on that and kind of work on that in my future career.
And I know another big part of being considered for Youth of the Year is not only grades, but the impact you've made in your community. You're active in the National Honor Society at Durfee, but you're also part of a project called Project 351. Talk about that project and other ways that you've been giving back to the community.
Of course. Project 351 is something I've been a part of since the 8th grade when I was first selected. And I've been a part of the program ever since, and we kind of really focus on giving back to our community as a whole. The students who are part of it kind of span all of Massachusetts. It's a really big group of kids, hence the 351. And I kind of really focus on that, and kind of one of the biggest things I do down at Durfee, especially with my other peers, is kind of focusing on giving back to the community, especially during the times when it's the winter, when it gets cold, focusing on things like food insecurity, getting kids things for sports, perhaps, things of that nature really is what we focus on overall. And I think one of the biggest things, especially with this year coming in and kind of reflecting on the past year, I've been kind of focusing on how to kind of address discrimination, bias, things of that nature, kind of incorporating that to school curriculum and hopefully in the future.
Christian, let me go back to you. And looking at all the names, and there were some great nominees this year for Youth of the Year. Where did Ashley stand out?
Well, I take myself away from the process. I just share the information with partners that I work with in the community to start the process with the nominations. And then it's usually so much better when we were in person and we would meet in the principal's office and then notify the individuals in person so we had to do it via Zoom through Mr. Gray's office this year, and then send them the essay assignment and then set up the interview. So I'm not really directly involved in how one person was selected or the other. I just get to read the essays and follow up with the judges, who are always smiling, even though after the grueling decision, but just once again, how reassuring it is each year. And even though it's such a difficult year, that the individuals are just so bright and so involved and so engaged right now, it's just only going to get better for our community as well as for them.
So let me just ask you then, Christian, from what you've known from those who did judge, did they lend any input into, what stood out in terms of Ashley's nomination?
Those discussions are classified.
I'm just
kidding.
If I told you, I'd have to. Yeah, I know.
Just being such a dedicated student, and being so involved. So with the Project 351 National Honor Society, and how much Ashley is able to give back to the community.
Well, this is such a great program, and I know, Christian, you've been involved for quite a while, and it's a great way to look at the success stories and there's so many in our community of our youth. Sometimes we kind of look at some of the hardships that a lot of our students face, but it's good to also promote the good that's being done with our students. And Ashley, you're definitely one of them. All the best moving forward, and thank you both for joining me today, and good luck moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations once again, Ashley.
Thank you so much. Thank you, both of you.
All right. Thank you for joining us today here in FRC Media. I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great day.